Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it's time to have a look at another devblog for the Leningrad, which is the first of the Leningrad-class destroyers which was ever made. Now, this is a reward that you can get through doing the Sea Voyage event, which happens to start on the 21st of February. If you want to have a look at some videos that I've done on it, it will give you all the information that you require, basically look back yesterday on the channel. But yeah, you need to do 8 of the 9 marks of distinction to get a coupon for this destroyer. So even if you don't want this destroyer, you can still get a coupon for it and sell it on the Gaijin market and make some Gaijin coins from it, and therefore use them to then buy a pack on the Gaijin store that you actually want. Remember, Gaijin coins can be used on the store, so therefore it can also, go across, if that makes sense. Like you can in yourself be able to use the Gaijin market to get yourself Gaijin coins by selling things, and then transfer that stuff to the Gaijin store and be able to buy packs from it. So even if you don't want stuff from the Gaijin market, you can still use it in order to get stuff in the game. So that is how you get the Leningrad, and for some reason the Leningrad video has just died on me, so let's try and fix that real quick. Oh, you're not interested, are you? Okay, well that's wonderful. Nope. It's just given up. Alright, well, the Leningrad is one of the first destroyers that was made from part of the first 5-year plan. Now, if you don't know what the first 5-year plan was, it was a plan which was put down by the Soviets, basically from all high and mighty Stalin, deciding on what they were going to do in the next 5 years, working out what they wanted to create, what they wanted to build, all of this stuff. And for a communist ideal, normally getting plans from up high doesn't really make a lot of sense, but remember, they were trying to get to the utopia instead of actually living in it. But anyway, so let's just leave that over there. So with Stalin's first 5-year plan, one thing I do want to mention, which is really cool, is there was a lot of interesting art that actually came out of it, and this is one of the pieces. And I'll just say, if you actually look at propaganda from back then, whether it be the First World War propaganda, World War II, the communist propaganda, even the capitalist propaganda, it's all really interesting, and I hope today we see more of that art style, and this is obviously showing an agreement between the agricultural lads and the industry lads working together to make sure that we create what we require. And of course, one of the things that we require is large destroyers. And the Leningrad destroyer that we see here was used in the Baltic Sea Fleet, and it was also used around Leningrad to be able to protect mining ships during the war, and also be able to lay mines itself, and to shell some German troops which were fighting at Leningrad. Obviously, if you don't know about the siege of Leningrad in World War II, I would highly advise you to go and read about it. It is definitely a harrowing tale, especially when it comes to the civilians and the general populace of the area, but I do think it is definitely something that people should read about. Tick actually did, if you don't know who Tick is, T-I-K, he does World War II history videos, and they're incredibly in-depth on YouTube, and he's just done one looking at the civilian populace of Stalingrad during the siege, and I would highly recommend his work. It's really, really good. So anyway, back to War Thunder. The Leningrad destroyer was put down in 1936, and it actually survived until the late 60s. Then, when it was decommissioned in the 50s, and by the 60s, they used it as a target for an anti-ship missile. So, as something which was seen as a hero of the war, fighting in the conflicts such as the Siege of Leningrad and making sure that the Baltic Sea was safe, being left to get ship missiled is not exactly the best way or the the nicest death, I suppose you would say, for this machine. The Leningrad-class destroyers were either annihilated in the war, or they were decommissioned or sunk after the war as well. I don't think any survived today, just like a lot of the Soviet ships at the time. So, let's talk about the main guns on this thing. You have 5 130mm B-13 cannons. You've got 3 of them on the front, and then you have 2 on the back. Also, on top of this, you have they're called 2 single 76mm cannons. And what I'm actually going to do is we're going to flip over to the asset viewer. That's the wrong button. Here we go. To show you this thing. So, this is actually in the CDK already. Let's just maximize. There we go. And this is the Leningrad. Now, we already have a Leningrad-class destroyer in the game, and it's actually called the Moskva. So this is a Leningrad-class destroyer as well, but the difference between this and the difference between the Leningrad is the Leningrad, as you can tell, has more guns. It has the extra 76mm on the back, and I also believe it may have slightly more 37s, or maybe some extra AA guns. But we're going to have a look at the Leningrad, but if you need a comparison which is in the game right now, the Moskva is the closest you're going to get. So let's go have a look at this huge model over here. So this is the Leningrad. You can see that it has the 2 130mm on the front with a lovely little bow for the second gun. Then you've got the third 130mm here, which is flanked by, I believe, 45s. Let's just actually check that so I don't get that wrong, because it does talk about the secondary weapons here. The 6 single 37mm cannons and then 4 single 12.7s. So I apologize. I believe these are 37mm. You can see them flanking the 130mm here, and then 2 of them flanking the 130mm here. You've obviously got your boats that you require if something goes wrong. Then you've got 2 37s sat in the middle of the ship here. Then you've got the 2 sets of 4 torpedo tubes, which we can see. On top of this, you have 2 single guns on the back of the 76mm, and then you have 2 130mm, and then, of course, as we talked about, this dual set of 76s. I believe it is a dual set of 76s, or it may be something else. If I look at the guns here, they look very similar to me to this one's, maybe slightly shorter barrel, so they might be slightly different. They might be 45, so they might be something like that. But one thing that does worry me is this dude, this 130, is poking through this one. Which doesn't fill me full of confidence that it's fully, properly designed. If we actually have a look at the damaged Leningrad, you can see how it looks when it's annihilated, and then you have the X-ray, which shows all of the pieces. So if we go over here, you're halfway through a recording and the Jehovah's turn up. So I'm going to start again looking at the X-ray. So it seems like we have the 2 130mm at the back, plus a dual mount of what I believe is 76s. I mean, I might be wrong about this. I could be wrong about this. But when I look at these and compare it to these over here, it definitely looks like a similar size caliber, but it looks like a different gun, if that makes sense. Also, you have the Dishkas right here next to the 130. There's a lot going there's a lot going on the booty of this ship. Then, of course, you have the 2 sets of funnels, the 37s in the middle, along with some Dishkas right here. And then, of course, we have all of the other party going on in the front here with the Dishkas at the top. So 6 Dishkas, a bunch of 37s, what seems to be some single 76s and other things on the front there, and also a ton of ammo storage here. Another thing that I've had a look at the Leningrad about is it doesn't seem to have a lot of armor. We're talking about maybe around 10mm on the actual on the belt of this thing, and that means that it should be able to get kind of annihilated pretty quickly, but with 5 130mm guns, it should also be able to dish out a lot of damage. It is a beautiful ship. I really like how the destroyers look in this game. I think it is a credit to the team behind the models of the light cruisers and also the destroyers to show how beautiful these things are. Like, in-game, they are easily the best models and most defined models that we have, and because of that, they should be shown in their true glory in the game. And it's nice to see another one coming in the form of a premium for this event. It also has, as you can see, 3 propellers, and of course the rudder. So, let's get back to it and see if we can work out what the other guns are. So it has 2 single 34K 76mm machine guns, and then they also have AA rounds. Oh, a dual one as well. So these are the same guns? They do not, to me, they look like the same caliber. I'll definitely say that. Oh hell, what's gone on here? They look like the same caliber to me, but they don't look like the same gun, which is, you know, and the X-ray model shows that they're not really the same gun. So that's a little bit odd. And as I said, this kind of needs to be fixed, unless this is just going to be either side of this thing, which is possible. But that's something to think of. So, we have 4 76mm. We have 5 130s. We have 6 37s and 4 single 12.7mm. So if we compare it to its tech tree counterpart, it has a hell of a lot more AA on it than that machine. So what we're seeing here is very similar to what we've seen in the previous times when we have a look at the machines which were sold for naval forces. So the Cowl, the Golster, the Strongy, and also the Hyder, all of these are just tech tree naval ships, but with more AA on them, or more guns in some way. And for me, when it comes to that idea, I generally don't like it, because it does feel like you are in a way paying for power. Now, in a way, that's the same here, because you can technically buy the coupon for the destroyer Leningrad as well, and also you can just buy the GE for the Marks of Distinction if you want to, if you don't want to grind it out. So even though there is a way for everybody to get it for free, it is kind of not good in a way. I do like the fact that there is a standard tech tree equivalent. I just wish they were reversed, where the standard tech tree one would be the Leningrad, which should be the most well-known of the Leningrad-class destroyers, and then the one with the slightly less armament would be the premium one. So therefore, you've got an incentive to play the premium one, because it gives you premium, you know, it gives you a boost when it comes to your research and your Silver Lions, but it doesn't give you as much firepower, so you've got to make the trade-off. Which one do you want to use? Unfortunately, that's not the case right now, because this machine here has more armament than the standard tech tree equivalent, so that is a bit of a problem. It is incredibly fast though, 80 kilometers an hour, and you can see here in this picture that the guns are definitely not inside of each other, so hopefully that will be the case. It will be kind of annoying moving this to the other side though. And another thing to also think about during this event is, will we get these vehicles fully modified? Because one of the problems I've had with destroyers is being able to fully modify them, being able to get all the modifications. If this thing comes fully modified, you know, we're in the money. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And I'm personally really going to enjoy it once I get it. But yeah, if you want to know a little bit more history about the Leningrad class destroyer, I go through it in this video here. I also talk about some of its other characteristics and the history around it. So yeah, if you want to have a look, I'll leave a link to that video in the description. On top of this, if you want to get this machine, make sure to check out Voyage, which once again I'll leave in the description. I am personally really looking forward to this event. It's the first proper naval event we've had, and hopefully it gets a lot of people interested in the game mode and gets people playing it. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.